Hello there, and welcome to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon, and in this video I'll be reviewing the new Necromunda book, Ruins of Jardlan, which is the third part of the Aranthian Succession narrative campaign trilogy. Now, that's a lot of words there. If you play Necromunda, you'll probably already know what the Aranthian Succession is, so I don't need to mansplain it, as my partner says. But the Aranthian Succession is an expansion. You do not need these books to play Necromunda. I'll just reiterate that. You do not need these books to play Necromunda. They are additional rules and additional lore to go on top of Necromunda. So what we're doing here today is looking at the meat and potatoes of what's actually in this book. We're not going to go into the lore too much. There is an awful lot of it. It seems that the Aranthian Succession is pretty much 3 books of mainly lore, predominantly. The actual rules are fairly scant, if I'm completely honest. So just a quick one. Please do like, share, subscribe, and check out the Patreon as well to keep me doing these videos before we get into it. I'm going to start off with the artwork, though. I've got to say the artwork is definitely my favourite one so far. On the front cover we have the Lady of Ash on the front there, or whatever her name is. We're going to look at her shortly. On the front, a female nomad leader, as well as one of the squat special characters and a Palanite enforcer. So that's kind of giving you the gist of what you've got in this book in terms of the sort of stuff. You've got some nomad stuff, some squat stuff, and some enforcer stuff, as well as some Vansar stuff too. That's pretty much what you get in this book. I hate to break it to you, Delac fans, but there is absolutely no mention of Delac in this book whatsoever, which is a real shame because it's the last part of this trilogy. I think many of us were really hoping for Delac stuff, Delac content, and it's just not in here, sadly. But anyway, if you're a Vansar fan, then you'll be pretty happy, I suppose. If you're a Delac fan, you probably won't be very happy. But contents. Let's look at the contents now. So the first 50 pages of this 124-page book, the first 50 pages are purely lore and artwork. In fact, there's a lot of artwork, whole page artwork, which takes up space in this book. Now, just to reiterate, in New Zealand and Australia, this book is around $100, I believe, maybe even more expensive. It's quite expensive for a hardback book. Sure, it's a nice book, and if you like lore and you like pictures, great. Buy this book, and I'm sure there are many people out there who don't even play Necromunda and buy these for the lore and stuff, like I used to do when I was a kid. I used to buy army books just to read the lore and look at the pictures. That's great, but if you're a rules guy like I am now, you're buying this book and 50 pages of it are just nothing to you, pretty much. So I'm already just skipping straight past 50 pages just to get to the last 70 pages of actual content. So that's my first major criticism of this book. And I have to say, that's the theme with all 3 of these books. There is just very little meat and potatoes actually in there, sadly. So anyway, we're going to skip past the lore because I don't need to give you the lore. You don't need it. It's just too much stuff. But the long and short of it is that the Helmore house is basically falling into ruin, and House Aranthus is coming to get everybody and stuff. So I'm not particularly engaged by the lore. I've skimmed over it. I haven't read it in too much detail because, to be honest, it just doesn't really interest me. That's me, though. You might love it. Anyway, what we have in here is the third part of the Succession campaign. Now, the Succession campaign runs through all 3 books. You have part 1, part 2, part 3, and each part of the Succession campaign follows on the same story and gives you a new mechanic or a way of running this campaign. All right then, so part 3 of the Succession campaign is a bit like this. So it's similar to a Dominion campaign. Instead of territories, you have something called waypoints. All 3 parts of this Succession campaign have been like this. Instead of having territories, they've basically named it something else and changed the mechanics slightly. With this one, we have something called waypoints. Now, I won't get into waypoints just yet. First things first, though, when you start this part of the campaign, you've got to choose which side you are going for. So you've got to choose between 3 options. You have the Imperial House. You can be unaligned, or you can go for House Aranthus, which is the new upcoming house, or one of the older houses that's now coming back. Now, there are different special rules if you align with the Imperial House, whether you align with nobody or whether you align with House Aranthus. Gangs aligned with the Imperial House gain the following benefits. You get emissaries of House Helmore. During the pre-battle sequence, roll a d6 on a 4+. The gang may recruit one of the following dramatis personae for no credit cost. They will leave at the end of the battle. You can get Oringrimal, ersengrimal, or Cilent Servos. All 3 of the rules for these characters are in this book. So that's the Imperial House. Okay, so 2 squat characters and a hanger-on special character there as well. If you are unaligned, you can have Asengar, which is the Lady of Ash, Cal Jericho, very nice indeed, or Vesper Minx Medina, who is the daughter of Slate Medina with her little rapid-fire missile launcher on the back of a truck. Pretty cool. You've also got some extra things as well. Deep pockets, for the Imperial House. When generating income, you get an additional d6 times 10 to your stash. Credits, that is. If you're unaligned, you get, if the opposing gang's leader is taken out of action by a friendly model, the model earns an additional d3 XP points. You also have a rule called Take a Side here. This is for unaligned as well. During the post-battle sequence, the gang may choose to align themselves with either House Aranthus or the Imperial House. If the gang only controls a clan enclave waypoint, then they must choose to align themselves with one of the other factions. So, Piggy in the middle there if you're unaligned. However, you get the best choices of Dramatis Personae with Cal Jericho, that's for sure. However, if you are part of House Aranthus, you get Emissaries of the Rebellion. So same thing, on a d6 roll of 4+, you get one of these guys. You get Athera and Styx, who is the Escher Queen with the chain axe, and Styx is the little caryatid. Really cool models, or Lady Credo, or the Prophet. The Prophet, Lady Credo, they're all really good actually, all 3 of those. Interesting characters, but my pick would be Cal Jericho there, just because. But also with House Aranthus here, each time the gang wins a battle, they gain 1 extra reputation in addition to any granted by the scenario. So with House Aranthus, you get rep. With unaligned, you get XP, and with the Imperial House, you get money. That's the simplest way of breaking it down. So that's what you have to choose from before you get into it. In terms of the actual waypoints here, what you need to do is build a deck of cards using 2 of the suits. So it's recommended here that you use diamonds and spades, and you've got a little list of the different waypoints in here. As we get into it, you can issue and accept challenges, and there is also a scenario selection table here, which is slightly different to some of the others before, but everything else as part of the campaign structure is pretty much exactly like a Dominion campaign. You have the overthrow phase, which is 3 cycles. You then have downtime, which is 1 cycle. And you have breakthrough as well, which is the last part, and that's 3 cycles. Other than that, though, much is the same. And during downtime, your fighters recover, captives are returned, experienced Juves and prospects are promoted, and there's fresh recruitment as well. And that's pretty much that. In terms of the actual campaign winning and stuff, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different titles. So the player with the highest gang rating is the Terror of the Wastes. That's what they win. Lord of Locales is the player which controls the most waypoints. The player's gang with the highest rep is also an award. Slayer of Tyrants is who took the most enemy leaders out of action. You've got Champion of House Helmore, the player's gang who won the most scenarios for the Imperial House. And you've got Champion of House Aranthus, the player's gang who won the most scenarios for House Aranthus. Those are your, awards for the campaign, so to speak, at the end of it. You've then got Asengar, I believe, the Lady of Ash. The rules for that before we get into the waypoints. I'm just going to talk about Asengar quickly. I'm going to do these in the agents in more detail, but Asengar, just to give you a sort of lowdown of what she is, fantastic model by Forge World, by the way, female Ash Waste Nomad Chieftain, by the looks of it, with a giant grapple hawk. Very, very cool model indeed, so you can buy that, I believe, now already from Forge World. But this chick's pretty cool. Good stats. She's got a blast pistol, stalking knife, and spirit stave, which is a pretty cool weapon. Shock, melee, versatile, 3 inches, +2 strength, 2 damage, -1 AP. Nasty. And she's also got a bunch of skills: Born to the Waste, Infiltrate, Stormcaller, with loads of equipment as well. As Terra's Shadow, which is her pet. Again, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of this too much, but Terra's Shadow is basically a giant grapple hawk, not your average grapple hawk. This one's massive, with high movement, and is very tough with multiple wounds, strength, toughness, things like that, as well as some strength 5, -2 AP, 2 damage, entangle, disarm, knockback, claws, which is very nasty indeed. A bunch of special rules around her as well, and she's available as one of those Dramatis Personae in the game there as well. So what I'm finding when I go through this book already, just to change the subject quickly, what I'm finding, between sections you have vast spaces, several pages of just nothing. Now, not even like proper artwork. It's just kind of like atmospheric sort of artwork of stuff that's quite hard to make out. It's a bit annoying, really, because you kind of you're paying again all this money for a book and you're getting all these blank pages pretty much. So anyway, moving on before I complain too much to the waypoints. Waypoints have boons, much like rackets, basically. So they give you boons when you own them. But you know, they also have in-game stuff, in-game mechanics. So what we'll do is we'll quickly look at some of these. Actually, I'll just take a slice of some of the ones here. Let's go to Gamma Light Bazaar, the 3 of diamonds. The battle effect in this one is in an ash waste battle where the waypoint is at stake. The battlefield surface is automatically sunken ruins. There's no need to roll. In an Underhive battle where this waypoint is at stake, no weapon with the blast X trait can be used. Pretty cool. You also have a waypoint boon here. The gang earns an additional 3d6 times 10 credits from this waypoint when collecting income. So a lot of money there from this waypoint. And then let's have a look at some more. You have the 6 Crones Distillery. In this battle, where this waypoint is at stake, all weapons gain the Radphage trait. Pretty cool. Also, there's a waypoint boon for this one. The gang earns 3d6 times 10 credits from this waypoint as well when collecting income. So, do you know what I mean? Like, you've got an actual battlefield surface baked into the waypoint, which is pretty cool, and some extra fluffy rules around it as well. I like these. I think I would rather use these than territories in a typical. I could swap these out for Dominion territories, and I think they're more interesting. However, a little bit too much money for your average campaign. I think 3d6 times 10 credits is a lot to earn from just one territory or one waypoint, I imagine. Anyway, that's your waypoints there, and there's a lot of them. Like I said, you've got two suits in a deck of cards worth of waypoints, so quite a few there. And some of them are really, really good. Some of them are not so good, but yeah, that's what's there for the mechanic in the main campaign bit. The next thing we have is Oringrimal. He is another house agent. This is one of the ones I mentioned earlier. If you side with the Imperial House, this guy is pretty good. He is the, what is he? What's he called? The last Charter Lord of Jardlan. Again, there is a Forge World model for this guy, and he's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of the squats, if I'm honest. I did like them when they first came out, but I've really gone off them over time, I have to be honest there. But he's pretty good. I'm not going to get into him too much either, because I am doing a whole series on agents and hired guns, which is separate to this. So if you really want to find out about this character, then you'll just have to wait until I do his video on my agents and hired guns. But he's pretty cool, nice model anyway, and pretty decent in-game. You then have in narrative scenarios. So in this one, we have a bunch of different scenarios, and I have to be honest, I have skimmed over them. I haven't looked at them in a huge amount of detail, but I have to say, I'm kind of frustrated by Games Workshop's inability to write, unique rules. And this is a big criticism, I suppose, and it leads to the community and people such as myself making our own house rules up, and that's great, because it's a cool thing to do, and the community will keep this going long after Necromunda isn't supported by Games Workshop anymore. But I do find that there is a lack of creativity when it comes to the scenarios, the hired guns, and just some of the special rules in these games. They're pretty much the same thing regurgitated over and over again with a slightly different fascia on it, I would say. And that is a harsh assessment, I suppose, but I feel like that ever since the first Aranthian Succession book came out, they're pretty much just regurgitating old content like the Dominion campaign and just making it look like something else with a very slight change in what it's called and whatnot. Again, I could be wrong there, but that's just how I feel about it. And with these scenarios here, you've got quite a few scenarios here, but again, they're just kind of like copy and paste from other scenarios that already exist with slightly different changes in them, but nothing dramatically different here. I haven't read them all, but I've skimmed over most of them, and they seem like they are all a little bit lacking in creativity, I think. Anyway, the next thing we've got here is Ersengrimal. Now, this guy is the only actual hired gun in this book. There are 4 Dramatis Personae, that's it, only 4. You don't get much in these books. And this one is the only one who's actually a hired gun. The other 2 that I mentioned before, Asengar and Oringrimal, are both house agents, so they can be hired in a different way. They aren't necessarily hired guns. So I'll be doing the series on house agents. I'm also doing the hired guns. And Ersengrimal, this guy here, is one of the hired guns that will be in that series very soon. Ersengrimal is pretty cool. Again, there is a model from Forge World already. Forge World seems to love doing Goliath and squat models. They don't really seem to get around to doing anything else at the moment. But this guy's pretty interesting. And again, I'm going to leave the nitty-gritty of this guy down to my actual specific video on Ersengrimal. But the long and short of it is that this guy is a sniper, a shooter, a squat shooter. He's 160 credits. The model's okay, but he's got an awesome long rifle, basically. The Jardlan long shot hunting rifle. This guy hunts ash waste nomads out in the wastes. Pretty cool lore here. But for 160 credits, this guy's really good value compared to some of the other Dramatis Personae. Anyway, we won't get into it too much. Oh, he also has a Techmite as well, which is good. Techmites seem to come with both of those special characters there. Again, lots and lots of pages of nothing. Another page with just some wheels on it and some sepia sort of smoke in the background, and that's basically it. More artwork that's regurgitated from other books. We've got a Vansar, Neotech on a surfboard there, and it's just taken straight out of the Vansar book, so not even new artwork. You get the drift. I'm getting a little bit critical of this, I have to say. And then we get into the actual meat and potatoes of what's going on here. So we've had a little bit of campaign stuff, nothing particularly interesting apart from those waypoints, I suppose. We've had 3 Dramatis Personae so far. And now we've got the additional rules on page 94. So it takes up to page 94 to get to anything particularly interesting. What we have here are grav cutters in the ash wastes for House Vansar. So grav cutters instead of bikes, dirt bikes, I suppose. We have grav cutters. These are 65 credits each, and they can be used as war gear. All Vansar primes, all mechs, techs add the following war gear to their equipment list. 65 credits, not bad at all for your anti-grav surfboard. Now I think these things look shit, but they are actually pretty good in the game. So yeah, there you go. That's your surfboard. You've also got your Vansar Technica crew. These guys are 45 credits in their crew for a vehicle. They have a ballistic skill of 3+, which is better than most crew members. Leadership 6+, cool 7+, willpower 7+, and intelligence 6+. So pretty good. 45 credits. They're pretty damn good. They get shooting and driving as their primary skills as well. And they can get, custom vehicles, ridge runners, rock grinders, and wolf quads, etc. as normal, just the same as any other crew member. Then we get to the new brutes, which is the Vansar Ash Wastes Arachne rig. Now they're 0 to 2, they're 360 credits, and they come in a plastic kit where you actually get 2 of them now. So this is your vehicle for Vansar, your specific vehicle. Obviously with Escher you had the cutters, with Goliath you had the mauler. With Cawdor, you had the chicken walkers, and with this one, you have a really unfortunate lack of creativity in just making a brute that's already available in the game slightly different for the Ash Wastes. Real cop out, if you ask me. I would have liked to have seen some vehicles that actually had something interesting going on, like giant grav vehicles. I don't know. This seems like a cop out to me. These things, they're 360 credits, they're movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 4+, 2 attacks, leadership 5+, cool 5+, willpower 8+, and intelligence 5+. The Ash Waste Arachne wig is armed with a twin-linked heavy las carbine, which is ridiculous. Rad gun, plasma gun, and 2 servo arms. So these things are actually armed to the teeth. For plus 40 credits, you can replace the plasma gun with a flamer, and for plus 40 credits, you can replace the rad gun with a harpoon launcher. I can't see why you'd do either of those 2 things, seeing as the rad gun's better than the harpoon launcher and the plasma gun's better than the flamer. But horses for courses and all that. They have Vansar protective gear. Vansar fighters are somewhat protected from the effect of their own rad weapons, so they ignore the flesh wound thing with rad weapons, basically. Superior weapons array as well. This is the same as the Vansar brute normally, so this fighter may make 2 shoot simple actions per turn, which is pretty cool. Each action may be made with a different weapon, and each action may target a different enemy fighter, provided that all the normal rules for target priority are followed. The Vansar Ash Wastes Arachne rig has the hip shooting skill as well, which makes it even more disgusting. In fact, that's not bad with the flamer actually, so that could be done, hip shooting with the flamer. Moving 10 inches and spraying a flamer is pretty nasty. And in terms of skills, they get shooting as a primary, ferocity and brawn as secondary skills there. Yeah, I mean, what are they? 360 credits, not bad at all. Pretty cheap for what they do. Very, 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 very good, I would say. The next thing we have here is some Palanite Enforcer stuff, which is cool. They need a little bit more stuff, but they did have some stuff in the last book. Now they've got extra stuff here. They have their own crew member. This is the Palanite Ranger. 30 credits, ballistic skill 4+, and 7 up on all of the mental stats. Not bad, pretty much the same as your just standard scummer, I suppose, with slightly better mental stats. We have Savant and Driving as the primary skills there, with secondary of Shooting and Leadership. That is your Palanite crew there. And of course they can have the same types of, custom vehicles, Ridge Runners, Rock Grinders, Enforcer, Tauros, Venator, which we'll get into in a minute, and Wolf Quads as well. And the Enforcer Tauros Venator is not to be confused with the Venator Gang, by the way, or the Tauros of the other Tauros. This is 130 credits. It is a unique vehicle to Palanite Enforcers. It has a movement 7+, toughness of 554. Front, side and rear respectively, 3 hit points, handling of 5+, a save of 4+, and how many hard points? An Enforcer Tauros Venator has a weapon hard point, so just 1 weapon hard point there, and it's wheeled. Upgrade slots, you have 2 in the body, 3 in the drive, 3 in the engine. And yeah, there's some cool stuff that you can do with this. You can give it a twin-linked concussion cannon, a twin-linked heavy stubber as well, in terms of the weapons there. Pretty cool, otherwise fairly standard really. Then you have some Ironhead Squat stuff as well, and what we have here is the awesome looking Ironhead Squat Prospector's Scalvian Explorator, available to Ironhead Squat Prospector gangs only. This is 265 credits worth of a vehicle. This is exclusive to squats, and the stats are as follows. It's movement 6, it's toughness 9 at the front, 8 at the side, and 7 at the rear, so you really do want to get this guy up in the batty. We have 6 hit points, handling of 6+, 3+ save, which is very good as well. And an Ironhead Claw for the first special rule here. So when an Ironhead Squat Prospector's Scalvian Explorator collides with and destroys either an obstacle or flimsy structure, the Ironhead Squat Prospector's Scalvian Explorator does not suffer any damage as a result of the collision. It also comes with a transport bed along each side of the top hull, which is pretty cool. And then weapon hard points. It comes with 2 weapon hard points, 1 on top of the hull and 1 in the Ironhead Claw. Any weapon fitted to the hull weapon hard point gains the crew operated and arc all-round traits. Any weapon fitted to the Ironhead Claw weapon hard point gains the crew operated and arc front traits. This vehicle is also tracked with upgrade slots of 4 in the body, 4 in the drive, and 4 in the engine. So a bit of a beast, that one. Not bad at all. In terms of the equipment, you can give it an Ironhead Flamer, an Ironhead Heavy Stubber, and a load of other shit there too. Each Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalvian Explorator may be equipped with a cargo load. While equipped with at least 1 cargo load, the following rules apply. Valuable cargo. If at the end of the battle the Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalvian Explorator is not wrecked and still on the battlefield, the controlling gang adds D3 times 10 credits to their stash. If the Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalvian Explorator had a cargo load. If the Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalvian Explorator is wrecked, then the opposing gang adds D6 times 10 creds to their stash if the Ironhead Squad Prospector Scalvian Explorator had a cargo load. It also comes with a trading run, which is another special rule here. During the post-battle sequence, an Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalvian Explorator with an assigned crew and a cargo load may make the trade post-battle action in the same manner as a champion, as long as it's not in repair or its crew is not in recovery, which is pretty cool. Gives you an extra trade action there. And we've also got an Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalvian Explorator has an Ironhead Container as a cargo load. It comes with the Ironhead Container. Flow of chems here if making a trade post-battle action. with an Ironhead Squat Prospector Scalving Explorator equipped with an Ironhead container. Then any chems purchased from the trading post have their credit cost halved, rounding up to the nearest 5 credits. So you get to use, get to buy creds a bit cheaper there as well. Really, really nice, not bad at all. The next thing we have here is a unique hanger-on to Squat Prospector gangs as well, and that is the Claim Jumper. This guy is 60 credits, has fairly standard squat things here, but he also has some special rules. Claim Jump. So during the post-battle sequence, this fighter may perform the Claim Jump post-battle action. Roll a d6 on a result of 5+, choose a territory controlled by your opponent, immediately gain the boons from that territory. This does not prevent the territory's owner gaining the boons. So the territory's owner still gains the boons, but you also get it, which is pretty cool. Unlike other hangers-on, this fighter is always ready for a fight. As long as this fighter is part of the gang roster, they're treated just like a regular ganger for the purposes of selecting a crew. So, not bad. This guy comes with a Gem Extractor, Ironhead Auto Pistol, Power Fist, and Power Maul. They are equipped with frag and smoke grenades, Techmite, Auto Veyor, and Mesh Armor. Claim Jumper has the Fearsome and Iron Jaw skills. So, for 60 credits, you get something incredibly good that you may as well absolutely always take. And he fights in every single game. Not bad at all. He's got two attacks too. Toughness 4, weapon skill 3+, and pretty damn good, really. Why would you not take that? It's a lot cheaper than taking a squat guy. So maybe they put this in here just to because it's quite difficult to actually build a squat list that actually has enough numbers in it with all the gear. This guy can help you do that perhaps now as well. You have the Techmite Auto Veyor, which is an exotic beast here. What these guys do is they may perform the bypass loot casket basic action. When rolling to determine the contents, the dice may be re-rolled, which is pretty cool. That's what they do. They have cunning as a primary skill set there as well. That's the exotic beast, or pet, so to speak, for squats there as well. You then have all of the Vansar Vehicle Tactics cards, which I believe will be available in a deck to buy from Games Workshop, but you've got them here as well, so you can roll a d66 on the table. There's then a shitload more blank pages before we get to the last Dramatis Personae in the game. This guy is an unusual, a unique hanger-on called Cilent Servos, the Infotech. Now, this guy's pretty interesting. Really cool bit of artwork there for him. I really like that. I'd like to see some conversions for this guy. But Cilent Servos, shit stats. He's 80 credits. He's movement 5, weapon skill 5+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 2, toughness 3, wounds 1, initiative 4+, attacks 1, and then 9+, 7+, 8+, 5+ for the mental stats there. So really high intelligence, but nothing else. And he comes with a stub gun. Cold and Calculating and Lie Low are the skills. And again, this guy is 80 credits. However, this guy is pretty cool. So he has something called Vox Hack. Cilent Servos can perform the Gather Intelligence double action. Make an intelligence test for Cilent Servos. If the test is passed, your opponent must reveal all gang tactics they have generated. If the test is failed, your opponent must reveal a random gang tactic they have generated. So win-win either way. Whisper Merchant. This guy is a Whisper Merchant, so he has, if hired, he counts as the one Whisper Merchant that your gang may include. So you can't then have another Whisper Merchant on top of this guy. He's also got 2 more special rules. Useful Lies. During both the pre-battle and post-battle sequence, a gang with a Whisper Merchant may count the result of a single d6 roll of a 6 when taking the following actions: determine scenario, choose crews, receive rewards, and seek rare or illegal equipment. This ability can be used only once in each sequence, and each time it's used, make a note on the gang roster. Once this ability has been used 6 times, the Whisper Merchant calls in their debt, and the gang must pay the hiring fee again to remove the Whisper Merchant from their gang roster. Pretty cool. We then have part of the crew, so unlike other hangers-on, this fighter is always ready for a fight, which is unfortunate because he's not very good in the game. However, he does give you, for 80 credits, I think that's quite a nice special ability just to be able to see your opponent's tactics cards. And he's got Cold and Calculating as well, which is once per round when making a cool or willpower test. This fighter may make the test against their intelligence characteristic instead. It's not particularly useful on a guy with just a stub gun and strength 2 and weapon skill 5+, but it is what it is. Interesting character though. I do quite like it, and I particularly like the artwork for this guy as well, so I'd love to see a model from Forge World, that's for sure. After that, on page 112, we then have all of the pictures of the Vansar grav cutters. as well as the Arachne rigs for the Ash Wastes, and photos of the new Squat Ironhead Industries vehicle there, as well as some of the new Forge World characters there too. That is the entirety of the book, pretty much. We then have, just a sort of quick one. We have the vehicle upgrades and lists of the weapons, close combat, heavy weapons, grenades and stuff, the actual rules for the ones that are actually listed in this book, as they usually do in these books. They always include those rules at the end, as well as weapon traits and things like that too, just so that you've got a quick reference for those as well. But that is that for this book. That's the Ruins of Jardlan. Sorry, this is quite a long video, but the long and short of it is there is not that much stuff in this book. We have, for Palanite Enforcers, we have a crew member and a vehicle. For Vansar, we have a new piece of war gear and a brute and a crew member. That's it. And then we have squats. We have 2 new squat characters, a squat hanger-on and a squat vehicle. And other than that, we only have, 4 Dramatis Personae in total. 2 of them are already squats. 1 is an Ash Waste Nomad, and 1 is a hanger-on, the Infotech there at the end. So not a lot of stuff. In terms of the campaign itself, I like it. The waypoints are pretty cool. And I definitely would use them ahead of the Dominion territories, maybe, in my own sort of version of a campaign in future. But I like the middle book, the second book there, Vaults of Temenos. I think the mechanic in there is better than this one, so I'd be more inclined to use that one as well with the relics and stuff. So please do look at that video if you'd like to find out more about that, if you haven't got that book as well. But all in all, if I'm really going to have a look at this series of books, I would say they've missed a big opportunity. Games Workshop could have gone anywhere with this, and I feel like the Aranthian Succession is just a bit of a flop from my point of view. In fact, on the whole, I'd say the Ash Waste is a bit of a flop as well, and there are many who agree with me. My head and my heart are still in the Underhive. Ash Waste is not really where it's at for me, I must be honest. But that's just me. I'm having a moan now. I think I'll leave that up to you to decide whether you like this book or not. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. I think if you're super, super into the lore around the Aranthian Succession, then these books are worth owning. Otherwise, for the amount of stuff that you actually get in this book for the price, it's just not worth it. Same with the other 2 books, if you ask me. Nothing particularly amazing in these books that really makes me want to buy them, I'll be honest. But it is what it is. Hopefully we get slightly more exciting stuff for Necromunda over the horizon. I'm not really sure, honestly. I'm not really sure what's next, but it's going to be interesting to see where they take things. Anyway, that's it from me. Over and out.